So this is my research that I'm working on for my thesis at BYU. I'm an undergraduate student studying cybersecurity, and so I've been working on this project to study for my research. And so, yeah, I think to get started, we're going to watch a little video from this movie that I hope a lot of people have seen. Out of curiosity, how many of you have seen Sneakers? All right. For those of you who haven't, we can pause the presentation and you can go and watch it and then come back, okay? All right. Let's see. Nope. We'll let it play. There we go. No, it will not let me do that. Okay, I tested this. There we go.
You are clear all the way up to the mantra.
Hi, my name is Boyfriend.
Hi, my name is Werner Brandis. My voice is my passport verified.
So yeah, just for a little bit of context, in this movie, they're trying to stage a heist, and there's this voice verification system. And so what they do is they just follow this guy around who has access who has the voice verification to access the bank, and they just like piece together all the words he says to make a statement. And that's like a lot of work. You'd have to follow this guy around. You'd have to like record every word in that sentence. And it's really hard to get all those words. And then you'd have to edit it and splice it and stuff. And so like, it's so hard to do in the real world, which is probably why this bank uses a voice ID service today. And so this bank allows you to access your account with your voice by saying, at Schwab, my voice is my password. Very similar to how Sneakers has their bank voice verification system. But yeah, the thing is, it's like, this is a great in practice, but like, what happens if like, hypothetically speaking, like there's just like there's just something that goes wrong there?
My voice is my passport. Verify me.
And like, I mean, like that's how it is.
My voice is my password.
Yeah, so like, that's not my voice. That's not a pre-recorded clip. That is, in fact, a voice clone. And I made that with 1 minute of my, of just like stuff that I said and put that together. And so the good news is I don't actually use the Schwab bank. So if any of you try to access my account, it will not exist. So that's good there. But this is just one example of how cloning can the voice cloning is a real danger in the real world today. And I just thought their frequently asked questions were funny here because it's like, is my voice print unique? Yes, just like your fingerprint, your voice print is uniquely yours. So clearly that's not the case. But yeah, so.
Hello, SAINTCON. This is Clone Katherine.
Yeah, so this is Clone Katherine, or Katherine with a C.
I sound pretty similar to Katherine. There's a few differences. My voice is still a little robotic, and it's hard to express emotion. But over the phone, I'm able to fool a lot of people.
Yeah, so this is, it's hard to distinguish from my real voice. Again, like there's some distortion and stuff just because of how I recorded it. But again, like she said, over the phone, it would be really hard to tell this clone from me. And some other examples of where I've seen this software used, I've seen it used in TikTok voiceovers. People will clone celebrities' voices and like put it over a clip of like Subway Surfers with like a Reddit story or something, you know. And I've seen it with accessibility. I've seen cases where people clone voices to have as their voice if they can't speak for a short amount of time. And also political deepfakes, which is a whole other subject of research that's really quite fascinating. And just to go over what the difference is between the different types of phishing attempts, there's phishing, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with, social engineering attacks. And then there's vishing, is using the human voice. And then there's cloned vishing, which is usually a phone call phishing attacks that used an AI cloned voice. And this is what I'm covering in my research. So here are some of the common cyber attacks with voice cloning. There's family members calling for help. It'll be like, hey, mom, can you come get me? I'm really scared. And these people kidnapped me. And now like they're asking for a ransom. And then there's authority figures. People will clone like, for example, in the movie clip Sneakers, they cloned this guy who had access to the bank. And they also use it to fool voice recognition verification for banks. So here are some of the real world examples of this happening. And there's bank fraud. People cloned the company's director's voice and were able to make away with about $35 million. And then this scammers cloning people's voices who are important to the victim in fake kidnapping situations. So this is another example. And so this is happening now. Like these are widespread attacks. It's really easy for these scammers to use this technology. Like it took me a minute to make that voice sample, and it took me less time for the AI to put together a sample that was convincing. And so it's really easy to do, and it's easy to do a lot. So why study this? Why even take this problem that's a cybersecurity problem and apply academia principles to it? So we want to study how effective are these voice clones? Is this even really a concern, or is this something like people are able to tell, okay, this phone call isn't coming from my daughter, so therefore it's not her. And we want to make sure that this isn't a concern, or if it is a concern, what we can do about it. We also want to see if people are prepared to spot these types of scams, and if this is something that we can help people learn how to combat. We want to convince people that this is a real risk. And a really easy way to do this is with an academic article with evidence that shows that, no, 20% more people fall for this type of scam than other types of scams, so we need to watch out for it. And then the other question is, how do we study this? How do you put together an experiment that accurately tests this hypothesis that, yes, voice cloning is something that is more effective for phone call-based phishing attempts? Cybersecurity is kind of hard to study because cybersecurity changes all the time. Like as I was working on the lit review for this, there were new articles every day that I was getting about these types of attacks, and they were going so fast I couldn't even study them. And so what we set up a fake vishing study, and we're going to send out these vishing messages with voice cloning and see how many people fall for it. The thing about this particular study is that you have to do a lot of ethics paperwork for these types of studies. And when you go up to the ethics people and you're like, hey, I'd like to do this study where I'm going to manipulate people and lie to them, and they're going to be signing a consent form that says they're working on a different study entirely, they get mad at you. And it's like, it was a lot of paperwork is what I'm saying. Oh my gosh, we finally got it approved like a month ago. And I was like, that was the whole thing. It took forever. So here's where we're actually at in this study. We started out with a lit review. We started out by trying to find research about this type of attack to see if there was anything in academia. Yes? Yeah. Okay, I will do that. Thank you. Yes. All right. And we wanted to, and then we went to step 2, which was the ethics paperwork. And now we're on step 3, recruitment. So we're actually in the process of like recruiting the people for the study so that we can deploy it and test our hypothesis. And then step 4, we're going to run the study. Step 5, we're going to analyze the data. And then step 5 is to actually write my thesis that I need to graduate. And that's going to be the easiest step, I hope. Ignore the Discord notification. That didn't happen. All right, so here's what the study is actually doing. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going to a bunch of professors at BYU. We're going to be cloning their voice. We're going to be creating a malicious message with their voice. And the message is something like, hello, this is Professor. I hope you're doing well. I'm updating class registration, and I need your student ID number. Could you please text me your BYU student ID number? You can find your 9-digit student ID number on your ID card. Thanks, Professor, and then the professor's name. So that's the message we're getting. We want to get this sensitive piece of information, the student's student ID number. And so we create this malicious message using their voice. We send the message to students in the class. So this means that the students are familiar with this professor. They've heard them talk a lot. And so they'd be familiar with the professor's voice. And then we're curious to see what will happen. Will people send their ID numbers like the message asks, or what will they do? So this is what we want to test. We have 4 different groups in our study. We have a text message. So we're sending just a traditional text message with all the same information that the professor sends out. So it's this same message here of like, hello, I'm asking for your student ID number. And then we have a robocall. Again, this is the same message, but it's with just a generic text-to-speech voice. Then we have the actual clone voice that we're leaving as a voicemail. Then finally, we have the clone voice, but this time we're leaving it as a voice note. And this is just like, I was like, okay, as a college student, I can guarantee you I don't check my voicemail. So I think that I would actually respond to a voice note more. And then my professor disagreed with me. So he was like, we decided to do both. So that's what we did. And so here are some of the preliminary findings that we discovered while we were putting together the literature review for this. And like the thing about this lit review was that it was really hard because no one has studied this yet because these attacks only started happening last year and academia is really slow. So we couldn't find very many relevant articles about that. The closest one I could find was that people are poorly equipped to detect AI-powered voice clones. And the study basically took a bunch of people and it was trying to see if they could detect between a voice clone and between a real person. And it found that they could not. And there's a lot of news articles about this. Again, because that's where it hits first is like people are like, oh, this is scary. There's a voice cloner and it's manipulating people and it's making people lose a lot of money. And so that's kind of where the Lit Review had a lot of these news articles and absolutely no academic articles. This is another reason why we need the study is because we need these academia articles to actually look at this phenomenon and be in the literature. And the final article that's relevant is just like, we all know this. I could spend a whole other presentation talking about this, but social engineering is a huge financial loss for companies, and it's something that we need to be aware of. So what can we do now? You all are aware of this, and I'm working on the study about it to figure out how effective it actually is. But like, we don't have time for me to get another article and then write another article about what kind of training is actually effective to stop these attacks, and then another article about that research. So what can we do now to stop this? Because these attacks are happening right now. And it's the usual cyber answers. We need to use two-factor authentication. We need to verify people's identity. So if you get a phone call that sounds like a little bit suspicious, or if it's from the wrong number, you hang up and then you call that person or find them through a different messaging system. We need to increase awareness. We need people to know that this is a scam that's happening. A lot of people are aware of phishing emails at this point, but they're not aware of this type of scam. And it's really effective, and it's something we need to watch out for. And yeah.
Thanks for listening, and feel free to ask any questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. And that covers all of my research. I have my website and my LinkedIn post. I wanted to leave a lot of time for questions, so that's why we have so much time here. And what we talked about is what voice cloning is, how it's used in cybersecurity phishing attacks, and how we're going to structure the study, and what are some academic articles we have. And thank you very much. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, again, like these AI startups that like make these clones and stuff, they disappear and like reappear, like they're everywhere. I used VoCloner for the voice samples in this presentation, and I think we're playing it out. I'm not sure if we're going to use that one or 11 Labs, which is another really popular voice cloning software. Yeah. Any other questions? I can't really see the like spotlight; it's blinding my eyes. So if you raise your hand, I'm going to be like, I can't. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the AI arms race. We make AIs to make things like you've seen I don't know if anyone's seen, but they have like AI art detectors or AI writing detectors. And the thing is, like, they're just pitting them against each other. So the things that are making the AI art or AI voices just get better and better. And the things that are trying to detect the AI get better and better. So they're just fighting against each other the whole time. It's no like guarantee. And I also didn't see any specifically that are detecting AI voices, but a lot of other things that detect AI content. Yeah. Any other? The results of the study, they'll definitely be in the Scholars Archive at BYU once I get it done, which should be at the end of winter semester. And they'll also hopefully be in the IEEE Security magazine, so watch out for that. VO-cloner, V-O cloner. Yeah. All right. And if there are no other questions, I can... Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so video deepfakes are a whole other study of research, and there's actually a lot more academia about that because there's it's been out for longer, and there's been a lot of like deepfake videos and things like that. So we were considering at one point of the study to use a video call type system where we had like the professor's like face and everything, but like there's plenty of research covering that, but not as much covering voice cloning. All right. That's all the questions. Feel free to come and talk to me after this, and thank you all for listening.